All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, March 18th. We have just 4 games on today's NBA slate. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. So yes, I am still feeling pretty sick, and yesterday's plays didn't make me feel any better. We go 1-4. Let's drop a womp womp on ourselves. The only one we ended up hitting was that slimy parlay. Pistons 1.5, and then Rockets -2.5. And the Rockets were losing by 1 million for the majority of that game. They came back, in the third quarter, takes it to overtime, and they end up winning, right? So we cashed that one, but even that was kind of lucky. What a bad look yesterday. Tyler Hero finishes at, I believe, 20 points. Rudy Gobert doesn't even really come close. He gets ejected as well. Grizzly Kings under, bad look. And then Jalen Duren double-double. Started off really hot, but they smoked him, and they didn't really need Jalen Duren. So, yeah, a bunch of bad looks on yesterday's card, but at least we did hit the one. Let's take the momentum from that one and roll it into today. Let's forget about the losses, even though it's hard to do. In terms of the ride of the day, this gets the vibes going. We're back here now, feeling good. Austin Reeves over PRA from Johnny Boy. That one cashes. Reeves had 30 points, I think 6 and 7. So what did he have? 43 as a finishing stat line in terms of PRA. So let's pump in some crowd noise. Like I said, let's get the vibes back high. My plays stunk. At least the ride of the day does come through here from Johnny Boy. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD down in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I also shout you out over on my Twitter/X, which will be rotating here throughout the show. And you get a shout out over on the Guy Boston Sports site with the final plays. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, you got to face the womp womp, just like we had to face today. So go ahead and get those hashtag ride of the days down there. Looking forward to seeing what Johnny Boy rolls with today. But like I said, guys, only a 4-game slate. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Starting it off with Charlotte taking on Atlanta. And we do have Charlotte. Actually, this is the unupdated one. Let's get this one updated. Ready? You ever see something get chiseled in stone that quickly? I don't think so, thanks to the power of editing. It'll probably still look pretty bad. But we do have the Charlotte Hornets here chiseled in the DNB graveyard on the main headstone. They have just wronged us one too many times. So even if we like Charlotte in this game breakdown and whatnot, we will not be rolling with them as a final play. But it just so happens that I don't really like Charlotte today. Now, I can make an argument for Charlotte. I can admit that. But Atlanta seems like this should be a fair enough spot to take a peek at them, because the one thing that I will say is that Atlanta's defense isn't very good. I think that we know that, right? But we're talking about Charlotte, who's the second worst offensive efficient team in the entire league. So why wouldn't this be a spot where Atlanta says, okay, yeah, we play bad defense, but it's not like we're going to get got by a good offense, right? And if we look at them on the season, Atlanta's won all 3 of these games. Charlotte has covered in 2 of the 3, but overall, last time they played, Atlanta won by 13 points. That was just about a week ago. That was in Atlanta, I will say that. But overall, I think that Atlanta is the better team here, and honestly, they should be the team that wins this game. Now, by 6.5 points, now you're talking a decent number, right? Like, yes, we don't have to force anything on a 4-game NBA slate, but I do think that Atlanta is the side overall. They should be able to score at least from the perimeter here, so maybe some guys that take those pull-up threes, catch and shoot threes, Trae Young, that type of thing, could have a decent game. The reason I do, probably end up the thing that I would end up rolling with in this game could potentially be an under. I do talk about how Atlanta, they don't have to worry about Charlotte's offense and all that, but Atlanta loves to score in the paint. Charlotte's not the worst paint defense, right? So that's why I'm saying Atlanta probably wins this game via the perimeter. But overall, I don't see a lot of points being scored in this one, even if the pace does kind of uptick. So as confusing as this breakdown has been, again, I got sick brain here. I kind of like the under 236.5 in this one, as well as the Atlanta side. But overall, I think that if Atlanta score from outside. I think that this one's a wrap. In terms of a player prop, I would consider a plus money play over on the Charlotte side of things. The hit rate's going to look terrible for this guy, but in a few games against the Hawks this season, he's been okay. I don't mind Josh Green here as long as he gets the attempts. I think that we could see him hit a couple things again just for plus money at plus 110 right now. I don't think that I would play this even if it was at minus 110 because we don't have the quantity, but I could see him having a couple corner threes that go in each. About I think it's 40% of his threes come from the corner, whether it's left or right, and that's obviously a spot in which Atlanta kind of struggles, and the perimeter as a whole, but they also don't cover the corner that well. So yeah, kind of a weird game, guys, but I'll go Hawks under, and then a slight look at Josh Green, even though that's probably the least of my favorites on the game here. Celtics taking on Brooklyn. We do have to take a peek at the injury report here. We have Jaylen Brown already ruled out. Jason Tatum questionable, so we'll obviously want to keep an eye on that. These two teams just played, in the Celtics, I mean, they were winning by a decent amount, and Brooklyn just caught fire from three, and voila, they ended up, keeping it close, and Cam Johnson missed a half-court shot that kind of came pretty damn close to winning it for them, but the Celtics only won the game by 2 points. They were 11-point favorites in that one, so yeah, Jason Tatum, I would say, is going to be pretty damn important in this one. But overall, the Celtics team at home now, that game was in Brooklyn, right? The Celtics team at home should be able to bounce back. They have won 7 of their last 10 games against this Brooklyn team. They usually do get played pretty tough by them, but the Celtics have won all 3 of the games. And when they were at home this season, they got off to a really, really, slow start. I think Brooklyn won, if I'm not mistaken, the first 2 quarters, or at least the first quarter, and then, the Celtics just had to fight for the rest of the game. So if the Celtics start hot, I don't think they look back in this one. Now, can we get to 13.5? Probably not as a final play, but I really can't make an argument for Brooklyn here. If we look at where they're going to want to shoot from, they're going to want to shoot from 3, whereas the Celtics team has been playing, and just on the season, decent 3-point defense. One of the 3 spots on the 3-point line, so above the break and then the 2 corners, they are struggling at in the right corner, but that happens to be the worst spot on the 3-point line that Brooklyn is shooting from. So I think we get a little bit lucky there. The Celtics also should not have to worry about their lack thereof of isolation defense or pick and roll defense, as Brooklyn doesn't really run either of those all that heavily. The one sort of argument you can make for Brooklyn, if you like the big number, is the Celtics team loves pull-up jumpers. We know that, right? And Brooklyn's a very good pull-up jumper team. But Brooklyn offensively loves the catch-and-shoot jumper. Celtics pretty damn good at preventing catch-and-shoot. So it's almost like anything you can do, we can do better on the Celtics side of things. I'm going to lean towards them, but if we roll this, it's probably going to be a spot in which I try to massage that line a little bit. Maybe some sort of a parlay or same-game parlay where we can get that line down and we can look at some props or something. As of right now, I don't have any player props that I'm absolutely loving by any means. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to take you to the final plays. If we do end up adding anything in there, I will go ahead and give a little blurb and reasoning in rationale as to why I like it. But as of right now, again, nothing that I'm, head over heels about in this game. From a total perspective, I like the Celtics team total over. I think that they should, kind of come out a little hotter than they did the last few times that they played here. And this is a low number, but no Jaylen Brown. That obviously impacts pace a little bit here, but I'll still lean Celtics team total over in this spot. All right, real quick, guys, before we do move on to the next 2 games, I want to tell you about Taco Tuesday and Prize Picks. Taco Tuesday, they'll have multiple discounted lines today, and they're still offering their Play 5, Get 50 right now. You literally place a $5 lineup as a new user. Instantly, you're going to get $50 into your account in promo funds. Absolutely one of, if not the best deal on the market right now. So go check it out, guys. Use the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment, or just sign up using code GUYBOSS and you'll get that exact same thing. Again, no better time to do so than right now. You're going to get this deal and Taco Tuesday. Go ahead and check it out. Again, link down below. Let's jump back into the last 2 games here. Real quick, adding this in afterwards, I do apologize if we feel like we're spacey brain and whatnot. I'm still pretty damn sick, and that resulted in us not recording H to H this morning. So if you are looking for NBA H to H, which usually drops today around 12 to 1 p.m., we don't have it. I tried to get up early, and then I texted Tassos being like, I don't think I could do it, which is a very rare thing. Hopefully we're on the back side of this sickness, whatever it is, some respiratory, I'm wheezing, some weird stuff. So hopefully we're on the back side of it, but I just wanted to fill you in that I apologize if this video has lack thereof of energy, or maybe my voice even sounds different. I'm kind of like foggy brained, and then also apologize that we don't have H to H coming out. Just had to kind of put my health first, I guess. So we have a bunch of videos to do today, and I have a busy schedule. So I figured, if we had to eliminate one, it'd be that early morning H to H. So unfortunately, that isn't coming out today. We'll see you guys back on H to H next week. All right, Golden State taking on Milwaukee. This should be a pretty good game overall, right? We do have Giannis and Lillard listed as probable, so if they don't play, then obviously things get shot a little bit here. But overall, Golden State at home getting points makes a little bit of sense, right? They played Denver last night, and they actually got beat by them. In terms of how that game went, Denver started really, really hot, and I would say the Warriors looked a lot better and maybe even won the second half, but it was too little too late. They had lost the first quarter by like 7 or 8 points, lost the second quarter by like 5 or 6. By that point, it was, again, too little too late here. In terms of these two teams, they did play back in February in Milwaukee, and Golden State won 125 to 111. Milwaukee hasn't been playing the best of basketball. Golden State has been playing really good basketball. If Golden State's defense can make sure that their in the paint defense steps up here, I like them. So I'm going to go Golden State plus the 3.5 points. They're on a back-to-back. It does worry me a little bit, but when Milwaukee has a rest advantage over their opponent, they've only covered in 50% of their games so far this season. And when they're on the road, they've only covered in 40% of their games this season. And Golden State's, has a 47% cover rate at home, so very similar. 45% cover rate when they're on a no rest. So all that 50-50 mumbo jumbo, it doesn't scare me away, right? When we look at this overall, you're going to have Milwaukee run a ton of isolation. That could be where Golden State struggles a little bit, but hopefully that isn't the case, because in the pick and roll, which Milwaukee will run a decent amount as well, Golden State's going to be very, very good defensively. So hopefully those two things offset. When it comes to where Milwaukee likes to score from, they've actually been shooting a lot in the mid-range. Golden State not the best mid-range defense, so yes, those are all cases to be made for this Golden State team. But overall, Milwaukee's defense has been anchored with some in-the-paint presence as of late. On the season, they're just 17th in terms of points from 3 allowed, and that's obviously where Golden State is going to shoot, score a lot of points from 3. They do have a guy named Steph Curry, if you had not heard. So I think that the perimeter game will be won by Golden State. And again, I started the breakdown saying this. They're going to need their interior defense, which isn't all that terrible. They're going to need their interior defense to truly step up and protect that paint, and I think they can do it. My only concern, I would say, is probably the fact that Golden State, compared to Milwaukee's undersized to some degree, like Giannis and Lopez down there, compared to, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Not exactly an obvious, or not exactly a height, matchup type of thing. So that worries me a little bit, but this is a decent Golden State defense, and they've been covering the paint fairly well all season, like we saw them do, again, when they played earlier this year. So give me Golden State plus 3.5. I just pray that they hit their shots tonight. When it comes to a total at 227.5, I want the defense to be, obviously firing on all cylinders, and I think that that's going to be the thing that wins or loses this game for either squad. So I think there's going to be an emphasis on defense here. I'm going to lean under 227. I'd peg this right around 224, 225. So very, very close to that 227.5, but I don't think it necessarily gets to 228. And I've seen this 227 hang all morning, right? Usually we see some lines kind of bounce up and down. It has moved, it bounced around, but not like we normally would see. So I think this is a pretty fair number. So even if we were to take the under here, it's probably a slim margin, but still worth considering is how I would phrase it. In terms of where we could go player prop wise, again, I do like the perimeter guys in terms of, fighting against this Milwaukee team. It would probably be the catch and shoot guys, and we talked about some of them yesterday. So, yeah, maybe we could take a peek at someone like, Moses Moody. Again, we liked him yesterday. He had a pretty bad game. I think he had like 1-3. I also liked Buddy Hield. He barely played, so maybe those guys bounce back today. But yes, even though Steph is the 3-point guy that's probably going to dictate whether or not, Golden State's doing well from the perimeter, you really want to target against a Milwaukee team, the catch and shoot guys, not necessarily the pull-up. So Steph's the pull-up guy. I would say some of those catch and shoot guys could be the better look here in this spot. But we'll see. Keep an eye on the pin conference, see what we roll with. All right, Clips taking on Cleveland here. Clippers 4-point dogs in this one at home. Cleveland got some injuries to note. Evan Mobley still listed as questionable, so we shall see if he plays. This Cleveland team coming off of a loss to Orlando. Clippers coming off of a dominating win against Charlotte. Both of those a couple nights back here. I think this is going to be a close game. The Clippers at home probably end up being the move. But if Evan Mobley plays, I'm going to scratch that from my brain and say this Clippers team isn't going to lose 2 games in a row, right? Like, they dealt with injuries last game, and that makes sense. Throw in the fact that, this is a Cleveland team that usually they're laying bigger numbers, right? -7, -6. This is a pretty good number for them. Even against that Orlando team, yes, they lost, but they were laying 10 points. So you're not often getting, and I say this about the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Cavs very often, right? You're not often getting these teams at those low lines. So even if I do think there are a few different points that point to the Clippers, I think there's a ton of value in snagging one of the best teams in the league at a low number. And I do think that they should be fairly good to go. They like to score in the paint. Yes, the Clippers are good at that, but Cleveland can also light it up from outside. Clippers very good defensively there too, but the Clippers don't shoot that much or score that much from outside. So all of a sudden you have a one-dimensional offense in the Clippers going up against a two-dimensional offense in Cleveland. Both teams are very good defenses. If all that's net, I'm going to say give me the team that has more ways of scoring, right? But it's all going to come down to Evan Mobley. I want a healthy Cleveland team if we do roll with this. Now, I'll get back to kind of the Clippers points. Like I said, there's a lot of points to be made if you do like the Clippers. Clippers, this is a Cavs team that runs more pick and roll in the league than anybody. Clippers, pretty damn good at stopping the pick and roll. The Cavs also, if they do get into isolation, which they kind of just do kind of like a middling team, Clippers pretty good at preventing that. They shoot a ton of catch and shoot shots. Clippers good at defending that. They do shoot a ton of pull-up jumpers. Clippers not all that great at stopping that. So all of a sudden point back in favor to Cleveland. But there are some defensive keys here to note and say, okay, well, this is a team in the Clippers that should hang in this one. But again, it's only 4 points. So yeah, I don't think we're getting 4 points with the Cavs very often unless they're playing a team like this. I think I'll take it. Cavs -4. Total-wise right now, I think this one goes up and over. Just a little too low for me. I think I have this more in the 232 range. I think Cleveland has a big offensive night. And the Clippers offense, make no mistake, they've been cruising. Last 4 games here, 120, 119, 121, 123. Now, they haven't played a defense like Cleveland in a while. Like, they've played New Orleans, Miami, good defense actually, Atlanta, and Charlotte. But even still, I think if their offense is cruising, then I see this could be a decently high scoring game overall. So that's going to be the lean in terms of that direction. When it comes to player props, I almost want to consider something like a Max Strus under. Like I mentioned, this is a Clippers team that, prevents that catch and shoot fairly well, which obviously would be Max Strus's scoring method. But then I'd also consider something like a Garland over or even like I think Donovan Mitchell's line may be a little bit too high, but Darius Garland right now with his points line sitting at 19.5, I kind of like the spot for it. Last time he played the Clippers, yes, it was last year, but he had 28 against them. So 19.5 is as low as it's been. I think we saw an 18.5 a week ago or so, but that's a pretty low line for him. We were taking him at 22.5 earlier in the year. With his sort of game and being able to pull up and shoot some threes, this might be a decent look for Darius Garland just due to the fact that that's sort of the perimeter weakness there of the Clippers, right? So I think I would also say, like I already said, if if you liked, Donovan Mitchell, then yeah, that makes sense, but his line's going to be like 24.5, 25.5. I think this could be a decent spot for Garland tonight. So I'll lean towards his points and maybe an under on Max Strus just because of that catch and shoot little nugget there. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.